Now, I run a private equity fund, and the government asked me 15 years ago to continue doing what I do as an asset manager, but also for the Department for International Trade as one of their Global Entrepreneur Program deal makers is to, and that is a real title, deal maker, is to find outstanding technology companies from around the world and help them set up their global headquarters in the United Kingdom. So outstanding technologies, solving some of the world's biggest problems, help the entrepreneur be here, the intellectual property be here, and the company's global headquarters be here. So I'm going to share with you how some of those companies have succeeded so you can copy what they did. And it's a lot easier to learn from others than make your own way through all the various roadmaps that there might be out there to enter into a country and grow from there and become a British business. So like I said, the Global Entrepreneur Program, or GEP, we've been helping companies go global over those 15 years and scale. And these are companies at the scale up stage. So let's be absolutely clear. They're usually not pre-revenue. They're usually not startups. They're scale up. In other words, they're probably after seed funding before Series A. They're somewhere in between there. They might not be looking for venture capital funding, but they're somewhere in between there. And in this talk, I'm going to share with you the resources available to them for setting up here, and the resources available for them to go global as well from here. So why are they setting up over here? Well, the number one reason tends to be ease of doing business. Of course, there are other reasons, such as the local market size, the assistance they get to go global through, for instance, our embassies and consulates around the world who can give them warm leads to build their businesses up. There's access to capital in the UK, and I'll touch upon this. But actually, the number one reason tends to be ease of doing business. All the things you see on the screen, all those things you see in the image tend to be the reasons why they are looking to go global. Now, capital, whether it's venture capital, angel investing, grants, loans, crowdfunding, the UK is the largest source in Europe. And one recent statistic is UK tech venture capital investments is third in the world, hitting a record high of $15 billion in 2020 in the face of challenging conditions. And given COVID, that's huge. Hit an all-time record of investment in the UK. And it's number one in Europe as well. So the first problem that arises is where to look, who to look for. And the question shouldn't be, Alpesh, do you know anybody who might want to invest in my company? What should the question be if we're looking at investment? And of course, you can be sort of panicked looking around thinking, well, where am I going to find investors? Where do I find customers? So let me answer some of those questions, particularly for those of you looking to establish in the United Kingdom. The second problem, and I'll share some of the resources that are available in a second. The second problem is what to ask. Often people don't know what to ask. And there's an old saying, if you want money, ask for advice. And if you want advice, ask for money. So how should that initial advice or request be phrased? And the answer is it should certainly not be phrased as, Alpesh, do you know anybody at fill in the gap? We need to be more specific, and I'll show you the solution to that as well, which has worked for the kind of companies I've dealt with. So let's go to financing. There is a valley of death, as we know, in financing. Thankfully, in the United Kingdom, we know there is more seed capital available than virtually any economy in the world, more angel investing, friends, family, and fools than virtually anywhere else in the world in terms of the access to capital, accelerators, incubators, and I'll share these with you. So for your own business, you'll be able to go through those. There's crowdfunding available, crowd lending, and I'll share all of these companies, how to find them, if they're in your sector, for your size of business, to save you a lot of time and energy when you're looking to set up and establish in the United Kingdom. Now, I have a very privileged role in that I've dealt with companies from India, which is that picture up there, Turkey. I've dealt with companies in Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, all of which have set up over here, Eastern Europe and the Middle East, America, and mainland Europe as well. So what are the lessons? Well, one of the key things, again, which comes up is these companies are scale-up companies. They have ambitions. They want to become billion-dollar businesses. These are not lifestyle businesses that we're dealing with. These are companies which want to solve the world's biggest problems and become unicorns. And that's one key reason why they're looking at the United Kingdom, because of the track record the UK has of generating unicorns. Another reason is not just London, but outside of London. When you look at Leeds as the largest financial centre outside of London, is that access to companies which are like-minded. That means the ability to tap into potential customers, companies which have worn a well-trodden path, companies thanks to which investors have got experience of investing in companies like the type which are setting up over here, and there's an infrastructure around that, whether it's R&D infrastructure in our universities, whether it is a skilled labor force, whatever it is, that exists thanks to the trailblazing companies which have created those unicorns to begin with, and of course smaller companies on the route to becoming unicorns as well, the sort of future unicorns as it was. And VC investment, as you saw, not just in 2019 but 2020, has continued on that trend. So where do you begin? Where should you start if you're looking to come to the United Kingdom? Okay, well, here's a list on this website that I've created of all the UK accelerators and incubators. Start investigating those. Have a look at those. See which ones are maybe possibly suited to you by way of funding, location, sector. You might not want to be in a UK accelerator or incubator. You might be looking at other things. You might just want to set up a headquarters here and then grow organically. Well, you need to get the introduction. So I've done a piece there about how to find those investors and get those warm email intros. Because again, the mistake that a lot of overseas investors or companies before they come here make is they'll just randomly ask people, do you know anybody who might want to buy my product? Do you know somebody at Microsoft or whatever else? Well, no, we've got to get a bit more diligent than that. There's got to be a hit list of names and emails of those people and who might know them and can give a warm intro. And that teaches you how to do some of that so that even before you come here, you can see, yeah, actually, I want to be here. I'm getting a lot of traction, a lot of interest from the United Kingdom. I've also put down every single UK angel and VC group, what they do and their contact details, where they are, what kind of size and scale of companies they're looking for, geographies, sectors. So again, you can make sure you have left no stone unturned in your route or your path to global domination. That is incredibly, incredibly important. Similarly with crowdfunding. Now, the reason crowdfunding is important is you can then look to see other companies in your sector who are further down the road and download their business plans and just see how they've done it. What have they done? How does it look? And that gives you a lot of information, know-how, and so on. Of course, equity investing is not the only route to finance. There's grants. So you want to have a look at these. The answer is not, hey, Albert, do you know somebody there I should speak to about something? No. Do your research first. Look into there. See what's available. Narrow it down. Approach the relevant people only once you've done everything at your end that you can possibly do. So you're not wasting their time or just as bad your own. Try and think about incubators and accelerators. Why? Because the old saying, your networks determine your net worth. And these kind of networks, such as Google for startups in the United Kingdom, they will leverage your resources. So you get access to others who might be able to assist you. Now, we're great at that in the United Kingdom. We're better than anybody in Europe at that in the United Kingdom. And as I said, the access to talent that you have is one of the key reasons we're getting overseas companies wanting to set up here. These are the future unicorns. That means the rate of growth at which they're at, they are likely, if they continue on that trend, to hit unicorn status in 2 to 3 years, if not sooner. These are the unrealized unicorns. We think these will, well, this is now dated because Deliveroo's right there. Realized unicorns. These ones have actually raised at that. These are valued and raise capital at those levels, but not exited as such. 153 business incubators for the UK for startups and entrepreneurs. Why are these useful? Why is this whole ecosystem useful? Well, they'll give you access to things like Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund, for instance. Things that you might yourself not be able to access. That's important. You need an ecosystem and a country which has that. Being a small island, it's easy to get around wherever you're based. If you're based in Leeds, my home city, or you're based in Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, wherever it might be, easy to get around to access these kinds of resources. There's also government resources. Now, these are often, again, overlooked, and I've put them all on one website, tech2great.com. So I've taken some from Tech Nation, some from different sources of finance, British Business Bank, public sector financial support, factoring, Might be something you're looking at, might not be. Might be crowdfunding, might be loans, might be angel investing. Every single one of those, and the favorable tax treatment, every single one of those resources have put there. And also you might just have questions generally about moving from overseas. Well, the government has resources available to you on that issue as well. Let us not forget procurement. It's often overlooked. The government is a major buyer. Now, one reason why companies from overseas set up in the UK is because it shows commitment. If you've got clients in the UK and you don't have any kind of footprint in Britain, and it's the 5th largest economy in the world, you don't have any footprint in the UK, well, somebody's probably going to sooner or later think, oh, do we really want to give a large contract to somebody who doesn't even have a footprint here? You know, there's this psychological aspect of feeling that level of comfort. But also there's the convenience of winning those contracts and retaining those when you have somebody local or your global headquarters in the UK being able to be on the same time zone, pop down to their offices. Hey, I can meet you tomorrow. I can meet you next week. As opposed to trying to do it all remotely from an overseas location alone. Given, again, the size of the economy, it usually makes sense to be here. And let's face it, if you're going to be a unicorn, you're going to be here sooner or later. All the big global unicorns are, so it might as well be sooner rather than later. These are just some of the companies in the Global Entrepreneur Program from around the world we've brought to the UK. That's a small fraction of companies. For instance, CCS extracts carbon from the air, so it's in clean tech. Finboot uses blockchain to ensure that oil is sourced from where it's meant to be sourced. Worldwide Generation, this one, helps fulfill the United Nations Social Development Goals, again using blockchain technology to ensure money gets to where it's supposed to go to, and there's many others. Carbon Clean Solutions, they, as I mentioned, one of our very successful ones. Thanks to our support, they've raised not just 3 million, actually since then it's been much more. We're looking for companies which help solve some of the world's biggest problems, because we want high impact companies. We want companies, whether it's cyber, clean tech, whatever else, which solve some of these very difficult problems, because they're going to have the biggest impact on the world and making the world a better place. I guess in one sense I could put it this way: come start something, as Google themselves put it. So if that's the case, what do some of these success stories that we've brought to the United Kingdom, what do they look like? And I'm going to share with you now what some of our success stories look like, who have come from abroad and have made the UK their home, and how they've managed to overcome obstacles in order to do rather well. So again, if I go to the website, I've set it up here. Take Air for Life. They took technology from NASA, which was used in the space shuttle to purify the air within those shuttles. They then repurposed it, became a British company, and they've put that technology in everything from air purifiers in hotels and warehouses and tube trains to inside cars. COVID happened, their sales went through the roof. Not just because people wanted purer air due to pollution, but also to get rid of viruses from the air as we became more aware of the importance of clean air. So that was Air for Life. Okay, they used our support within the Global Entrepreneur Program to access British embassies around the world to help sell their products by having warm leads established for them. They wanted to access casinos, for instance, before COVID, casinos in China, Hong Kong, Macau. And what they did is they got in touch with our consulate in Hong Kong, who arranged meetings in Macau, together with the British Embassy in China to arrange those meetings in Macau, and they won contracts. They did the same with our embassy in Bangkok, in Southeast Asia, and they've done the same with Seoul and other places around the world. In fact, they can't manufacture quick enough, so they moved the manufacturing to the United Kingdom. And now they've got a mainland Europe manufacturing base as well for easier logistics, road-based logistics as well. Worldwide Generation, I mentioned also how they're making the world a better place. Well, they're making sure governments and corporates can get the money to where it's meant to go. How important is that? Advitech, they have 24-hour medical transport. Now think of Uber for ambulances. Imagine how much money you're saving on the public purse if you've got the ability not to have to send out ambulances to take, say, a dialysis patient like my dad home, which uses up an ambulance, which is overkill because he just needs basically a normal transport, but can't manage it himself and needs somebody who's medically trained, but not to the level of necessarily a physician. Well, Advotech step in there. They save money for the government as a result as well. Tinkerbell Labs are ones that I was able to showcase to the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. They help Braille literacy using technology. Consider the millions of people around the world who can't read, and the benefit to the global economy of having them in the workforce by getting them to learn Braille faster, sooner. Credit Enable, company out of India, global headquarters in the UK, now selling its algorithms, AI algorithms, back to India to ensure that entrepreneurs, particularly women entrepreneurs, those who often are left out of the entrepreneurial journey, get access to finance. Why is that important? Well, without finance and access to it, you'll get greater social injustice, you'll get a bigger gap between male and female, you will get a smaller economy. There is data to show that if women were to succeed at the same level or progress their careers at the same level as men, the economies of the world, including the UK, would be significantly larger as a result. Okay, Finboot I mentioned, they use blockchain to ensure clothes are from where they say they are. They're not from child labor. Oil is from where it is. It's not come from Syria via sanction busting through, I don't know, Iran or Iraq, etc. Let me move on to Fluoritic. $125 million is the annual cost to the NHS of additional bed days due to slow diagnosis. 700,000 people are killed worldwide annually due to superbugs. This is pre-COVID. Our technology is built on advances in glycan chemistry and quantum optics, don't ask me. Packaged in easy-to-use and scalable offerings of bacteria is identified by proprietary nanomaterial labels. Basically, saves cost, makes things more efficient to solve a global problem. Okay, it's what most businesses have in common that we deal with. And then there's City Spotter. They use AI to spot fake news. Well, how important is that? You don't need me to tell you how important that is. We already know. Sometimes we're very fortunate. We get access to, as in this case, the then Prime Minister, Theresa May, and that's one of our companies, Worldwide Generation, Manjula Lee there, and the then Chancellor sitting there. Okay, so we have those things. I want you to, when you're abroad looking at establishing in the UK, I want you to have a look at the great resources for entrepreneurs. As I said, one of the important things with it is, if you are looking at inquiring, have a look at the Government Advisory Network of lawyers and accountants. That will give you insights into establishing here. The Overseas Market Introduction Service, so you'll see how the UK government helps British companies access overseas sales leads. The tax benefits of being here, government contract finder, business plan if you need help, visa information, insights from venture capitalists on how to pitch as well, and then export advice and discovering new markets as well. On the sources of funding, the things I'd like you to look at here in particular are, in case you don't have it, it's all one place: legal documents, where to find angels, what to look for in an angel, building your networks. Now, some of these other sources I've mentioned, but you know what we often forget, and Britain is fantastic at this, is alternative sources of funding. Maybe peer-to-peer lending. Okay, unsecured loans, social enterprise grants. If you overlook one of these, you might not get your business off the ground when it deserves to be off the ground, when it otherwise could have been. And that's why that's got to be an important starting point, to make sure you've done that. Do the research on export finance, on the British Growth Fund. Your business might qualify. If it doesn't, fine. You've just saved yourself hours of time. Okay, government sources of finance here as well. And again, business plans and templates. And I've not just taken bog standard boring ones, but what I've done here is take ones which are rather good. Let's put it that way. Ones which we think you'll really like, and which will help you a lot. This one from the Prince's Trust, which was established by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, and again goes into detail for those who need it. Some of you won't. How to do a good elevator pitch. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you wherever you are in the world, well, one of the reasons is we want to build the entrepreneurial gene pool and skill base of other countries, because if we do, everybody benefits. It is well known that one great way to alleviate poverty is to improve economic and entrepreneurial education and have freer economies. That is part of what the UK wants to achieve across the world, and by doing so, it helps alleviate poverty and raises everybody, whether in the UK or in other parts of the world, and we want to see more of that. So have a look at those resources wherever you are in the world, because it's part of what we do really well, entrepreneurship. The United Kingdom is a very entrepreneurial country, and the data to support all of that. So come join us wherever you are in the world. If you are an overseas business that meets these criteria, you have an exceptional technology, you are at the scale-up stage, so you've got sales, you're growing at over 20%, you solve a global problem, you want to set up your global headquarters in the UK, the founder will be moving here, you want to go global from the UK, okay, get in touch with me through this website, okay, and you've got me on LinkedIn as well, follow me, find me on LinkedIn, and we'll work out a plan of action to help you grow, get up, set up over here, and from here become a global company. That's the route map, okay? And that's just one of the resources that the UK government has at its disposal, which is the Global Entrepreneur Programme. It has many, many, many others, and a lot of them I have highlighted over here. Some of them won't be relevant because you're an expert. You might already have VC funding. Some of them will because you're very early on your stage, on your journey. So I want to wish you well on that journey as somebody who does have British businesses which are global. I love being here, not just because of the ease of doing business, not just because of the credibility and credentials the United Kingdom gives, but also because of the size of the local market and the quality of life of being here as well. I hope you will be able to join me, and I wish you well on that journey. Please do have a look at this, and let's get the ball rolling. Thank you very much.